Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Oh, what a momentous day it is, Mr. Singleton.
Tell me why, Mr.
The
Thune.
Oklahoma football program's savior has returned and is once again 10 toes down in Norman, Oklahoma. I say that mostly tongue-in-cheek because I stopped short of labeling anyone the program savior, especially on the immediate heels of the Jackson Arnold fiasco. But Oklahoma is hosting their second of 4 elite camps today as we speak. The first one was Sunday. It was kind of a ho-hum camp. There is talent aplenty in Norman today for the Sooners' second elite camp. And the headliner is 4-star quarterback Peyton Houston out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Evangel Christian Academy product, owner of the national high school record for passing yards, total yards, and total touchdowns in a single game, as well as completions, I believe, and major Oklahoma priority target in the 2027 cycle. As it stands, in fact, the only quarterback with an offer to the University of Oklahoma in the 2027 cycle, at least an offer that is committable. Peyton Houston is on campus right now. Right this second, Grayson. Peyton Houston is on campus at the University of Oklahoma. The way these camps typically work is you have O-line, D-line, and specialists in the morning, or at least this is how it works at Oklahoma. And then come the afternoon, you have quarterbacks, skill guys, and linebackers, defensive backs. So Peyton Houston is probably throwing in front of Ben Arbuckle right now. I'm getting back over to campus as soon as we are off the air at 3 p.m. Honestly, might just ditch a little sooner than that. So, you might have to do the last segment or two solo.
Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out. Slide Connor Pasby in here or something.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, Peyton Houston, though, this to me, Grayson, and I've voiced this time and again, this is a guy that I think has legit Heisman Trophy potential. Should he commit to the University of Oklahoma, sign with the University of Oklahoma? And I don't say that lightly because, to be frank with you, everybody wanted to throw out the H word with Jackson Arnold when he was coming through the recruitment process. I always steered away from it. I was leading the charge on the Michael Hawkins hype train, and I've always strayed away from using the H word with Michael Hawkins, even with as much as I think of him, as highly as I think of him as a football player. So the very fact that I'm bringing up the word Heisman in relation to Peyton Houston tells you how good I think that kid is going to be at the next level. And some of the best quarterback minds in the nation concur with that assessment. He is the priority for USC in the 2027 class. He is one of 2 quarterbacks in the 2027 cycle with a committable offer from the University of Texas and Steve Sarkisian. Everybody likes Peyton Houston. Everybody wants Peyton Houston. But today, Grayson, marks the 6th unofficial visit to Norman, Oklahoma in the last 14 months for the kid. What does that tell you about where Oklahoma sits in this process?
It tells me that you're in an awesome spot for a highly coveted guy. And I think that's the most obvious thing about this. I'm going to go back to Monday because Blake and I touched on this momentarily on Monday. If you don't get Jaden O'Neal and Bo Bentley in this recruiting class, the presence of Peyton Houston and the fact that you're in a really good spot to get him is your recourse that can smooth all of that over, because there's a pretty seamless transition that you can fathom between John Mateer to Michael Hawkins Jr. if he sticks around to Peyton Houston. It would be a seamless transition that would smooth over if you go 0 for 2 in this cycle. Now, obviously, that is a worst-case scenario with Peyton Houston being the recourse. Peyton Houston is so damn good. He really is. And the fact that you are an early contender, or the early contender for him, outpacing USC, outpacing Texas. I don't know where LSU's in this, but it seems like they may have dropped the ball here on an in-state kid. So when you look at it from that perspective, Peyton Houston can be either one of two things. Somebody of high importance that's going to show out day one, or he's going to make you have an embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position come 2027. Either way, the worst-case scenario, if you are able to finish the deal and get him, is that you're in a really, really good spot at quarterback going all the way through presumably the 2029 year, possibly.
And I'll say this about Peyton Houston. I don't know what the depth chart is going to look like at quarterback if and when he were to enroll at the University of Oklahoma. But regardless of where he lands, regardless of what the depth chart looks like, there's going to be, especially if it's Oklahoma in the end, there's going to be some parallels to the Caleb Williams situation, the Michael Hawkins situation last year, in the sense that you're probably not planning on turning the reins of the program over to a true freshman in year one. But he's the type of guy that if he shows up on your campus, doesn't matter where he slots on the original depth chart, by the time games are being played in September, whoever your starter may be, if he slips up that much, Peyton's the type of guy that's going to make him pay and will supplant him and will take his job because he's that talented. And it's not just about the level of talent. And I think this is also part of the thing that stood out about Caleb and about Michael Hawkins too. It's one thing to be really, really talented. It's another thing to be beyond your years as a leader. And both of those guys were. And that's what Peyton Houston is. So he is back in Norman today to throw in front of Ben Arbuckle. It's going to be the very first time, I believe. Well, no, he was on campus in March. This will be the first time that Houston gets to throw for Arbuckle on Arbuckle's turf here in Norman. Houston camped with Oklahoma last year, but obviously at that time the offensive coordinator was Seth Luttrell. It was actually at camp last year that he received the offer. So now he gets to throw in front of Arbuckle, who visited with him during the evaluation period, obviously, and whom he came up to Oklahoma to see in March for the Future Freaks event. The general rule of thumb, Grayson, is that if you can get a guy on campus a half dozen times prior to his commitment, you're going to feel very good about your chances. That's kind of an unofficial industry watershed, if you will. Every school is going to feel like, hey, if we can manage to get 6 visits out of a kid, which is a lot these days, right? That is a lot.
Yes.
A lot more than it used to be. But if we can get a kid to campus 6 times before he makes his decision, we feel great about our chances. Well, tally them up. This is visit number 6 right here.
In a year and change, too.
Mm-hmm. The way I feel this recruitment is trending, Grayson, is that I don't think it's coming to an end today. I don't think it's coming to an end by the beginning of the 2025 football season, whether at the high school level or collegiate level. I think what Peyton Houston and his folks are waiting on with Oklahoma is to see this staff win games and see this program win games in the fall. That right there is what this all kind of hinges on. That's the one box that obviously has not been checked yet.
Ding, ding, ding. That was my thought 60 seconds ago. Recruitments like these and other high-profile guys that can take you into the end of the 2020 decade puts so much more pressure on this 2025 season. You have to win games. If they do not win games this year and there are changes made to the coaching staff, this whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket. Because all of a sudden now, the relationships that you've built, they're with coaches that aren't there anymore. Now, where does that new coaching staff come in from? What kind of relationships do they have? Chances are it may not be with some of the guys that we have grown accustomed to covering these last couple of recruiting cycles in 2026 and 2027. So a guy like Peyton Houston, the upside to you winning games in 2025 and locking in Peyton Houston is that you are set at quarterback, presumably until 2029, maybe even 2030. But the downside of this is if you go 6-6 again and there are changes made, you are starting this entire thing completely over. That's what's riding on this, and that's what when we're having this conversation about Peyton Houston and other guys that can really be a part of the next 5-6 years, that's what that makes me think of.
Winning this fall is paramount for so many reasons, but primarily because of recruiting, right? And you have to set your program up for future success. And these days, and I would say in this era, especially the way that Jim Nagy and this Oklahoma staff want to do things, it's going to be difficult to do if you have to turn over an entire coaching staff and probably a large portion of your roster.
1,000%.
Because what were we just talking about yesterday? It's always going to be pricier to go grab a player in the transfer portal than to retain a player of comparable talent. But if you have a shakeup on the coaching staff, there will be guys that are on the first Greyhound bus out of town, and you can't convince them otherwise because they're here to play for those coaches.
405-651-3439 on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A texter in the 405, winning games also results in losing coaches. If we win 10 games, schools are coming after Arbuckle.
It was funny. I was talking to somebody in the program last week, it was, and they were marking out, man, we're just we're really grateful to have Arbuckle, but we very much have the understanding that it's probably not going to be long before some big-time head coaching jobs are offered to
you. And let's play this game because we have time in the segment. Let's say Oklahoma's offense does a complete rebound and is back to the Oklahoma offense that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds that Ben Arbuckle is one and done at the University of Oklahoma? And then what happens with the recruits, especially at the quarterback position, if that happens?
So from what I understand, Ben Arbuckle, look, of course Ben Arbuckle wants to be a head coach.
Of course.
I feel like most coaches in the profession, not all of them, but most of them want to be head coaches. However, I don't think he's going to take the first head coaching opportunity that's presented to him.
And neither should he.
Nor should he. Because and I think he'll definitely take a cue from what happened with Jeff Lebby.
Yeah.
Who basically jumped at the first head coaching opportunity that was offered to him. And, yeah, it got him to the P4 level, but it got him to Mississippi State, which is a really freaking hard place to win football games for anybody, let alone a first-time head coach in the NIL era and in the SEC.
Let me give you an example or a specific hypothetical here.
Okay.
Billy Napier was on the hot seat going into last year, and then DJ Lagway busts onto the scene. They kind of seem to stabilize things. What if Florida does another 2023 and looks really, really bad this year, and Billy Napier is fired? What if a job of, it may not be Florida, but what if a job of that sort of caliber opens up?
Yeah. Well, I can promise you with regard to Florida specifically, their first call will be Lane Kiffin. They will make Lane Kiffin say no and then make him say no again and then make him say no again. I think that's pretty commonly understood.
But even just a school of that level.
Here's what I think. I think a school of that level is probably going to want to make more of a splash than hiring what will be at that time a 30-year-old offensive coordinator who just spent his first year in the P4. So, I don't think it's going to be too terribly long before Ben Arbuckle winds up getting offered a big-time head coaching job. But I don't think it's this coming offseason. I think things would have to go immaculately for Oklahoma for that even to be a conversation. Because, I mean, again, I'll just take the example of Florida. I know for a fact what the calculus, what the equation looks like for the administrators down there at UF. I have some pretty solid connections down there. And the thinking is, if at any point we feel we have to move on from Billy Napier, we need to go make a splash.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Lane Kiffin or not, we need to go hire somebody that the rest of the country is going to, their eyeballs are going to widen at that hire.
That's fair. And that guy may not be Ben Arbuckle to Florida, but if Oklahoma, let's just say Oklahoma's a top 20 offense in the country, you're talking about a program who was absolutely, abhorrent on offense in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Now one of the top 20 offenses in the country. Oh, and by the way, they're Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And you did that. Ben Arbuckle's a fast riser, too. And trends do matter. And the way you are trending, and with the visibility of Oklahoma also now being in the SEC, his age may not dictate that he gets a job like that fast. But the other circumstances around it that could heighten his visibility could put him in the category of potentially a splash hire.
If Oklahoma is good this fall offensively, Ben Arbuckle will be a very popular name in the G5 ranks as a head coaching candidate. And potentially on the lower end of the P4 spectrum. I think it's probably going to be 2 to 3 years at least before he has enough skins on the wall to be able to elevate himself into contention for a big-time P4 job. But here's the thing about the G5 jobs these days. Those are the types of things that you would have worried about in the past. Not so much anymore. Because the overwhelming majority of coaches, if given the choice, because of where college football is as a sport and the ever-widening chasm of resources that exists between the P4 and the G5.
Absolutely.
The overwhelming majority of coaches would rather be a P4 coordinator than a G5 head coach.
I would agree with you. Mm-hmm. I would too.
It would have to be a really, really perfect situation in the G5. I think if you put me in the shoes of somebody like Ben Arbuckle, got a nice cushy coordinator gig, and I know I can recruit elite talent at a place like Oklahoma, but now you're asking me to drop down to the G5, yeah, I may do it. I may do it for the right salary. I may do it for the right promises, but everything has got to be right. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Again, 405-651-3439. So we talked about Peyton Houston. He is far from the only notable prospect that is in town to camp with Oklahoma today. We will talk about some more of them on the other side, including a name to know at the quarterback position in the 2026 class. Keep it here on the Ref. The home of Sooner fans. We'll be right back.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Athletes Unlimited Softball League is coming to Norman June 20th through the 23rd at Love's Field. Watch these legendary AUSL pro softball players on the Volts and Talons compete, including Sis Bates, Montana Fouts, and Oklahoma's own Tiare Jennings and Sydney Romero. To learn more about the Bandits, Talons, Blaze, and Volts, go to theausl.com and get your tickets today. AUSL, this is legendary.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Matthew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Hey, Mike Steely here for my good friends at Cavens Group. Spring temperatures are here, and the threat of severe storms loom. Are you ready? Cavens can help you with water intrusion and inspections for mold. Also spring cleanup and yard cleanup with their 12-foot dumpsters. Don't wait for the water to expose your problems. Get ahead of it today with Cavens Group Spring Checkup. Call them today at 405-573-3048 or visit cavensgroup.com.
Hi, Josh Helmer here for my friends at Auto Image USA in Norman, where they have everything you need to upgrade your ride. At Auto Image USA, they have so many services for you like paint correction, window tint, paint protection film, or maybe you want that boat, RV, or car looking brand new in the interior again with the top-of-the-line detailing. Plus, you can get their Enviro Shield paint and interior fabric protection backed by their 3 or 5 year warranty. Call them today, 405-321-4444. They are the best. Check them out.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive. Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Oklahoma-based Precision Fluid Power sells new and remanufactured hydraulic pumps, as well as repairs for virtually any hydraulic pump, motor, hydraulic servo valve, and cylinder. We serve all industries, large or small, regardless of what equipment you operate. Industrial, mobile, agricultural, construction. With over 150 years of expertise, the Precision Fluid Power team can provide solutions to handle all your hydraulic needs, local or out of state. Precision Fluid Power can help. PrecisionFluidPower.com.
It is locked in here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. I tell you, Grayson, in this day and age, going viral can change your life. For better or for worse, it can change your life.
Yeah, it can.
And it certainly has for 2026 quarterback Jackson Fields out of Destrehan, Louisiana. So he's got a teammate, very talented wide receiver by the name of Jabari Mack. 4-star kid in the 2026 class. He's committed to play at LSU. Boot boy staying home, right? In his high school's spring game, there was a throw he made to Mack that I guess was captured by a local news station, and they put the snippet on social media because, here's Jabari Mack making a huge play, 60-plus yard touchdown. LSU commit going crazy. Well, the reaction on social media was very much, the consensus reaction was, okay, but who's that quarterback? Because if you watch the clip, yeah, it's a nice play on the ball by Jabari Mack, but Jackson Fields is rolling to his arm side, getting close to the sideline, slings the ball off platform, probably 45, 50 yards on a rope. And everybody's in the comments section asking, who in the world is this quarterback? Now, he had no college interest at that time, no offers. He was, in the recruiting realm, a complete unknown. Hello, Bob Dylan. That has changed and changed quickly. He's picked up several FCS offers, picked up camp invites from numerous Power 4 programs in the immediate aftermath. One of those was the University of Oklahoma, Grayson. And Jackson Fields is on campus today throwing the football for Ben Arbuckle and the Sooners.
How in the ever-loving hell was he not discovered? You told me his name in the break. So while you were introducing him just now, I was watching the highlights. This dude's a stud.
He's good, isn't he?
Dude, he makes NFL throw. I will tell you this right now. I like his tape a lot more than I like maybe not a lot more. I like his tape more than I like Jaden O'Neal's.
Wow. Okay.
Dude, some of these throws he's making, the trajectory of the throws, the way he's firing these balls on a frozen rope. Dude, I like this kid a lot. And it's not just because he's a big white guy that wears number 17, but the way the ball comes off of his hand and the trajectory of his of the angles looks like Josh Allen. It really does. Obviously there's fine tuning that needs to happen at the collegiate level. But this kid is good, man. 2-year starter, completing, let's just say, around 70% of his passes, 4,200 yards, 52 touchdowns. The kid is good. The kid is really good. I love the film of the 2 minutes that I just watched while you were just saying that.
Again, I have half an hour till I hightail it back over to the Oklahoma campus to see what Jackson Fields looks like with my own 2 eyes, but I am very intrigued here. Very intrigued.
I would text me when you see him and tell me what you think. I mean, I'll probably be at my own basketball practice, but
because I mean, look, if you got to find a second quarterback in this 2026 class, because I think most everybody is conceding that landing both Bo Bentley and Jaden O'Neal feels like a pipe dream. Is there maybe some world in which that happens? Yes, but it's dreamland. Let's be realistic here. If you're looking for a second quarterback, man, a guy that makes a lot of sense within state lines is Easton Webb up at Sand Springs.
Right.
Committed to Oklahoma State to play baseball.
I was about to say, you think he backs off of that?
Probably going to back off of it, I would think.
Really?
Yes. OV'd to Georgia Tech this past weekend. He's the priority for them at quarterback. And so he's also a guy that I think even if it takes as long as August or September for him to start garnering more P4 attention, I think there's more P4 attention coming for him on the football side of things. So I imagine that he will reopen his recruitment, which, I mean, his football recruitment is still open, but you get what I'm saying. I think a decommitment from Oklahoma State will wind up coming. Maybe Oklahoma State offers him the chance to play both sports. I don't know.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's going to mean more to him, or it's going to be a big deal to him that a school lets him play both basketball and baseball? I mean football and baseball, my bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't. Because for quarterbacks in particular, if you are confident in your skills on the gridiron and you feel like you have a professional future in the sport of football, obviously you can make a lot more money as a quarterback than you can as a baseball player. I mean, think about this. Obviously, you have to be absolute cream of the crop to play professional football or professional baseball. But if you sign somewhere, especially at the P4 level as a starting quarterback, and you don't have to become the starter right away, but let's just say by year 2 or 3 you're the starter. You are anywhere in the P4, Grayson, you're making a lot of money. A lot of NIL money. Probably more NIL money in a single season than you will wind up making across multiple seasons of playing minor league baseball.
Yeah.
And so if you make it to the top in baseball, great. But the earning potential is severely limited until then. These days, if you're a quarterback that just sees the field at the P4 level, you're getting paid.
CJ Sooner in Florida on the text line. Grayson, your player evaluation credibility just tanked. Jackson Fields is good, but your hyperbole is crazy, bro. Oh, my gosh. Here we go again with this. I am not saying Jackson Fields is going to be the next Josh Allen. I don't know if that's going to happen. But the way the ball comes off of his hand with velocity and accuracy and just body movements and mannerisms of playing reminds me of such. Can we make that any less simple with how I come at player evaluations?
You got to be very, very specific in your terms with some of these folks.
I am continuing to learn that.
That's why I have done my best, my absolute best, not to even mention John Mateer and Baker Mayfield in the same sentence. Because are there similarities in the way that they play?
Yes.
Yes, there are. Stylistically, they are similar.
Mm-hmm.
But what some people are inevitably going to hear if you voice that is, oh, John Mateer's going to be the next Baker Mayfield. Right. And then when he doesn't throw for 4,500 yards and 50 touchdowns this fall, they're all disappointed.
And my goal, because I know all of y'all aren't watching film on juniors in high school, my goal is to paint a picture of what I'm seeing. So don't take everything too literal. Like who was the one texter when I said Ben Wenzel's intelligence and intangibles and football IQ reminded me of Danny Stutzman? It was like, why are you compared to Danny Stutzman just because he's a white linebacker? No. I'm trying to paint a picture for you guys so you can hopefully kind of visualize what I am seeing.
Listen, I would love it if everybody that listened to this show and interacted with this show also watched film. But I know not everybody does.
Exactly.
Right?
And neither should y'all. Y'all are busy. Y'all got jobs.
This is our job.
Exactly.
Our job is to bring you recruiting coverage. And we do. We try to do it to the best of our abilities. Doug in Norman says, that's exactly what KREF hosts said about Jackson Arnold. What did we say about Jackson Arnold? I'm confused.
Yeah, what part of that?
We've covered a lot of ground. I'm not sure what specifically that's in reference to, Doug, so please clarify. Mark and Blanchard says, Parker, keep an eye out on a kid from McAllister named Jackson McKinney. Kid is just going to be a sophomore, and he's a starting quarterback. Okay, Mark, I will keep an eye out. I spend a lot of time at these camps watching the quarterbacks. I like watching quarterbacks. I tend to think I have a pretty solid eye for quarterbacks. It can be a difficult position to evaluate because the one thing you can never really account for is the mental side of things, at least in a camp environment, right? But love watching quarterbacks. Also, bit of news. Drew England does say, I watch film, Parker. I know you do, Drew. You have to. It's part of your job. But Aaron Rodgers is finally a Pittsburgh Steeler. Joy Taylor was right all along.
It wasn't hard to be right on this one.
Tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Joy Taylor was right about nothing. But Aaron Rodgers is going to sign.
I totally forgot about that.
With the Pittsburgh Steelers. And play his 21st NFL season.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. 2005.
Yeah, 2005 draft, yeah.
2005.
Still hard to believe that Alex Smith was the number 1 overall pick in that draft.
He had a pretty solid career.
Really good player.
You know, all told. He played what? I think he played 14, maybe 15 years in the league. No, 16. He played 16 years. He retired after COVID.
Yeah.
16 seasons in the NFL for Alex Smith.
CJ Sooner also said, you did say he was better than Jaden O'Neal. I do like it. I do like his film better than Jaden O'Neal. That's more of a cosmetic thing, though.
CJ Sooner also followed up and said, I watch film. Jaden O'Neal is better than Jackson Fields. Okay.
Maybe so right now.
We can disagree.
Maybe so right now.
We don't all have to have the same opinion. It's okay.
I do really like there is something about Jackson Fields' tape that pops more to me than Jaden O'Neal's.
Bodine from the Osage says, Grayson, you are very much appreciated. F the skeptical nerds. Big Chris adds, Grayson, keep on painting them pictures. It sure helps me out since I am blind. I sure appreciate the way that you tell it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Appreciate you.
Reformed Homer says, I use you, Parker, as a fact check on all the recruiting posts I see. Well, thank you, Reformed Homer. It's good to know that I am the bastion of accuracy for at least one of those. And I'm not right all the time. You can't be right all the time when you're covering recruiting. You simply can't. Because the job is to try and get inside the minds of 16 and 17-year-olds. Which is, at times, a fruitless endeavor. And that's why the whole Kevin Ford Jr. recruitment, I'm just kind of like, I'm done with that one.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's gonna do.
I've noticed you're done with it because you haven't brought it up in about a month and a half.
I don't have a clue where that kid's going to commit. I don't have a clue where that kid's going to sign. I don't have a clue when he's going to make a decision. You can't figure anything out about that kid, and he's not eager to volunteer any details of his own volition.
Oh, really?
Doug and Norman followed up and said that the way the ball came out of Arnold's hand and his accuracy was unparalleled. That was just wrong. Doug, okay, you could maybe have an argument there as far as Jackson Arnold's accuracy. What you cannot dispute, you can knock Jackson Arnold for a lot of things, especially after the 2024 season. You cannot knock the arm talent. The ball does jump out of his hand. He's got a rifle. That's never been an issue for him. The issue for Jackson Arnold in 2024 was between the ears, and it was up front with his offensive line. Not all of the misfortunes that befell Jackson Arnold in 2024 were his fault. KG and Piedmont. Doug, did they also say that Jackson Arnold could play with a decimated line, decimated receiving core? He just wasn't that good. There was no way to know it would turn out that way. There you go, KG.
And no quarterbacks coach.
And no quarterbacks coach. Blake from Owasso wants to know, what school is the biggest threat to OU for Peyton Houston? My answer, the University of Texas.
Not USC.
USC is in it. Texas A&M is in it. LSU is in it. As far as I know, and I've done my best to stay abreast of this recruitment and remain acquainted with the intimate details of the process ever since the day that he got the Oklahoma offer. So it's been the better part of a year. For really the entirety of the time I've been covering the Peyton Houston recruitment, it has been OU Texas at the top. OU Texas at the top with A&M, LSU, and now USC chasing.
How much of a chance, just to, be transparent and whatnot, how much of a chance do you give Texas in that recruitment right now?
They've got a good chance.
They got a good chance.
Good chance. I think Oklahoma is the clear favorite, but I don't think the Sooners have a decisive lead in any sense. And I think if it's not Oklahoma, as of right now, I think it's Texas. So there you go. That heightens the pressure in 2025 all the more because there's the knowledge that if you don't win, not only do you not get Peyton Houston, but Peyton Houston probably winds up playing quarterback for your fiercest rival. Better win.
You know what? Isn't that how the world should be, though? Recruiting battles for a blue-chip quarterback coming down to Oklahoma and Texas.
I love a good OU-Texas battle on the trail, man. Love it. We get a few every year. We'll see what happens with Felix Ojo. That's one in 2026 that could come down to OU and Texas. I think Bo Jandro probably comes down to OU and Texas, but we all kind of know where that one's headed. I love me some OU-Texas
What's
battles.
the timeline on that?
If you want my honest opinion, I think he commits to Oklahoma while on campus for his OV June 20th through the 22nd.
Okay.
So I think by the end of the month, Bo Jandro is on board for OU. Okay, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Working through some more notable visitors at camp today on the other side. And we'll also discuss some of the official visitors that are on tap and no longer on tap for the official visit weekend in Norman that is to come. Keep it right here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans will be back.
Hey, Sooner fans, this is Jaron Kanik, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 means Home Creations.
Change is coming, Ref Army. From the voice of the Sooners on the rush every day for the triple option.
We've landed on the triple option, and I'm excited.
To the Plank Show, taking over your morning drive from 6 to 9.
Every single radio person, what they want to do is they want to do a morning show.
And the addition of Darinoka from 9 to noon.
While remembering that Oklahoma is top dog, I want to bring an SEC perspective.
Whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, no one covers the Sooners like we do.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. Our favorite Antwerp diamond supplier is in the store through June 7th. Choose from perfectly matched sets for earrings, gorgeous diamonds for a proposal, or an amazing selection for pendants. Our prices and selection simply cannot be beat. Let us show you why our diamonds shine the brightest. Purchase yours during our Antwerp Diamond event, and you could be our next Antwerp Diamond winner. Mitchell's Jewelry, in the heart of Norman at 2201 West Main Street.
How do you give hope to a child in the foster care system? It starts with your heart. That tug you feel on yours when you hear that children are waiting for a stable, loving voice to speak up for their best interests. And then it becomes your time. What started out as a feeling that maybe you could make a difference becomes the difference. Change a child's story. There is a child waiting for a volunteer like you.
Contact South Central CASA at 405-360-5295.
Every day, we rise, challenging ourselves to work for what we believe in. At U.S. Border Patrol, protecting our borders is more than a job. It's a calling. Agents answer the call, working together to keep our country and communities safe. If you're ready for a new mission, join U.S. Border Patrol and go beyond. Learn more at cbp.gov/careers/Border Patrol.
Entrepreneurs and More Norman in South Oklahoma City have an experienced business partner in their neighborhood. More Norman Technology Center's workforce and economic development team understands the challenges entrepreneurs and small businesses face every day. From building an effective business model to hiring the right employees and managing cash flow, More Norman's business development experts can help you move forward confidently and thrive, knowing that you have a skilled partner at your side. Learn more about More Norman's Technology Center by calling 405-801-5000 or visit us online at mntc.edu.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, know it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Final segment of Locked In, brought to you by Dorsey Jones GMC. You got plans this Saturday? I'm going to give you some. You're going to head out to Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. You're going to get a half-price oil change on your vehicle. There you go. I did you a favor today. Mapped out the first portion of your weekend for you. We appreciate Dorsey Jones GMC and their partnership here on Locked In. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. And Grayson, we've gotten through it. We've gotten through this list a lot slower than I would have liked, but obviously Peyton Houston warranted an expanded discussion, as does Jackson Fields, as I think a very realistic offer candidate, whether today or down the line for Oklahoma at QB, because we know they're looking to take 2, and we know that you're probably not going to be able to land 2 top 100 dudes at that position in the same cycle. But there's a bevy of talent in Norman today, including a couple of in-state defensive linemen in the class of 2026 that were out there trying to earn an OU offer. I don't think it's going to come for either of them. I think there are some things that would have to fall through with other targets for Oklahoma to look their way. But Jalen Battle from Edmond Santa Fe camped with Oklahoma today, as did Kingston Hall from out in Tahlequah. Now, both of those guys are P4 level recruits. They have multiple P4 offers. Hall's offer sheet includes Baylor, Kansas State, Maryland. Battle has picked up offers from K-State and Baylor as well, just added Arizona State earlier this week. So 2 dudes that can and will play at the P4 level, just maybe not for the University of Oklahoma, at least Not as things stand right now. So they were in town working this morning in the trench session. I'm trying to think who else was there this morning that caught eyes. Oh, yes. FSP, Ford Sports Performance, which is a big 7-on-7 organization, developmental organization up in the state of Washington. They brought a bunch of dudes down, and they all look great, Grayson. A couple of them are absolute hosses.
Yeah, who is this 2028 tight end?
Titan McNeil. His name is Titan. Come on now.
His name is Titan, also spelled with a Y.
Yes, Titan McNeil. This kid looks like $1 million. A legit 6'5", probably verging on 6'6", 210 pounds right now, projects to tight end in the next level. He got the Oklahoma offer. He now has 18 scholarship offers as a rising sophomore. He showed up, man. He showed up, and I saw him outside the facility. And, you know, at these camps, especially this time of year, you will see athletes from all other sports that are coming in and out of the facilities, do their workouts, do their treatment, do whatever. So I'm thinking, is this one of OU's new basketball transfers that I just don't recognize? He looks like a hooper. He's huge.
He is a hooper. He plays
very athletically built. And you're right. He does play basketball.
He plays for Jamal Crawford's EYBL team.
And he plays basketball at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
Freakishly athletic, and he is going to be an absolute menace on the football field at the next level. Should he decide to play football at the next level, and I can't imagine why he wouldn't, because he is a good basketball player, but the potential for him as a tight end is through the roof. So Oklahoma jumped in with an offer today. I'm gonna do my best to get this name right. Deep breath. Lufau Loumoli, a 4-star linebacker in the 2027 class, also from the state of Washington. He's a borderline top 100 guy in the cycle, according to Rivals. The number 11 linebacker in the country. Showed up to camp with Oklahoma today. So you would figure, and he hasn't announced it yet, but you would figure that he's going to walk away from Oklahoma with an offer as well. There's no real reason why you would get a fringe top 100 guy on your campus and not toss an offer his way. So those two were really, really impressive. This afternoon, obviously haven't seen those guys yet, but a couple Oklahoma kids that I'm really, really excited to see. Camion Compton-Nero from Rejoice Christian up in the Tulsa area. 2028 kid. He can play pretty much anywhere. He plays quarterback at Rejoice. There are some schools that want him at receiver. I do expect him to pick up an Oklahoma offer today, and I think it will be as a defensive back. They like him as a safety. Freakishly athletic kid. Another one of those two-sport dudes, plays basketball as well. So there's a lot to like about his athletic profile, and I would be surprised if Oklahoma didn't get involved in his recruitment in an official sense today. And then here's a sleeper kid in the 27 class that I know Oklahoma likes a lot. I'm not as sure that they're going to offer him because he's small, but Cooper Hooker out of Salina, Oklahoma. You even know where Salina, Oklahoma is?
Nope.
I didn't either until I had to go find it on a map because I ran across Cooper Hooker's tape. This kid is electric. Ran a 4.42 40 at the SMU camp last week. Going to have to see what he ran at OU. They probably are getting close to being all the way through 40s right now. They do testing now at OU camps as opposed to just doing reps. But he is incredibly fast. He is incredibly agile, incredibly elusive. He's going to be a double-digit offer guy by the end of the calendar year. He's already got two. UConn and Georgia State have offered him. He would like to stay in state to play college football. He's going to have a Tulsa offer here before the end of the month at the very least, but would like to go to either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State.
Okay.
And so we'll see if Oklahoma gets involved there. I also think it's not going to be an automatic no on a guy like Hooker just because he's short and he's only about 5'9". Jim Nagy doesn't necessarily want all tall receivers in the room, but it's more, hey, we already got some smaller guys on our roster. Let's
Right.
recruit size for 2026 specifically. That there may be a bit of a shift there for 2027.
And okay, so in 2027, which naturally is going to beg the question, is there something other than just the timing of it that sets him apart as being a quote-unquote shorter receiver than Mason James?
I would rather not talk about Mason James.
Okay. No, that's all good. I'm just talking about I'm just talking about a football sense too.
Yeah, no, I just
no. You're
good. We've been down the road. I think Mason James should be a guy that OU takes all day and twice on Sunday. They're not going to,
but
it is what it is.
Yeah. But we're talking about shorter 5'9" receiver.
Yeah, I think Cooper Hooker is an excellent return man in addition to being a dynamic receiver. And so there's that element to his game, and that might provide a little bit of added value in the eyes of Jim Nagy and the personnel staff. Man.
There you go.
Here I am sitting thinking about Mason James again. Look at what you did. But Cooper Hooker is camping with Oklahoma today. I don't think he gets the offer today, but it wouldn't shock me if they get involved down the road.
Okay.
My expectation would be, especially because of the frame concerns, that they want to see the first 4 games of his junior year before rendering a verdict on whether or not they're going to offer him. And then there's a very intriguing kid from out way east in the 2026 class. He only has one offer right now, and it's from Iowa State. But if Iowa State offers a kid, Grayson, you pay attention to that kid. We learned this most notably with Xavier Robinson, right? Iowa State was on him way before anybody else was. This kid from Muldrow, Oklahoma, his name is Tegan Collins. He is a two-way kid, again, in the 2026 class. There is a world in which Oklahoma gets involved in his recruitment, even with him only being a one-offer guy right now. He's about 6'2", 180 pounds. Depending on how things shake out with some of Oklahoma's higher tier and more expensive safety targets, they may choose to get involved with Tegan Collins at a certain point. We shall see. But he gets an opportunity to strut his stuff in front of the staff today. We'll have to see how that goes. Glenn from Nashville on the text line says, Parker, I know that you're just simply reporting what you hear or what your gut is telling you about who will and will not get offered by OU, but you just mentioned a couple of D linemen, one of which has offers from Kansas State and Arizona State, but you said OU probably wouldn't be offering. Last I checked, Oklahoma is Kansas State's B word in football, and Arizona State gave Texas all they wanted on the college football playoffs. So those programs want that kid, but OU is too good for him. Jim Nagy strikes again. Listen, I'll go back to it, Glenn. The entire reason that Oklahoma hired Jim Nagy, and I know it's unrealistic to think that fans are all of a sudden going to start looking past the offer sheets with guys and looking past the star factor with guys, but the entire reason that you hired Jim Nagy is because you want to be able to evaluate better than everybody else, including the recruiting services. And so I would stray away from thinking, and I would caution against thinking this in general. I would caution against thinking in general that just because Kansas State offered a kid, or just because Arizona State offered a kid, or even because freaking Alabama offered a kid, that Oklahoma should automatically want him. That's not always the case. And with where Oklahoma's at on the defensive line in the 2026 cycle, they already hold one commitment from a kid who I think has star written all over him in Bryant Harris from Jacksonville, as well as where they stand with Taj Overton, a nationally regarded kid from within state lines up at Owasso, and then the options that are on the table to round out the class at defensive tackle, including Elijah Golden from down in Florida, a 4-star kid who's OVing this weekend and is coming down to Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and Bama. Oklahoma doesn't need to expand the board right now at defensive tackle. And the concern would be that if you chose to offer Jalen Battle and or Kingston Hall today, well, what if they want to commit and you have to say no to a guy like Taj Overton because you're out of space? You don't want to create those problems for yourself.
Right.
And given that they sit within state lines, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier if you miss out on some of your high-end targets to circle back with Battle and Hall and others of that ilk in August or September, even if they've already committed somewhere else at that point, and say, hey, why don't you stay home and play SEC ball and come to the University of Oklahoma? If you want to break that emergency glass, at that point you can do it.
I'll defend the fans here on this one. And I'm not saying you're correct, but I will defend because outside perception can reasonably bring that sort of feeling. You just laid out a bunch of nuanced stuff. Numbers game, and things of that nature that factors into this.
Yeah.
But I think as a fan, if you see a guy that clearly can play at the P4 level and Oklahoma's like, yeah, but not here, to a fan, I can reasonably see how that can trigger that response in your mind.
It's amazing. You got a faction of the fan base that would say, Kansas State has offered him, why aren't we offering him? And then there's a very different faction of the fan base that would say, his best offer is Kansas State? Why would we touch that kid? Can't please everyone. Jim Nagy, no doubt, has already learned this. All right, folks, Locked In is a wrap. The Rush is coming up next. Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman take over. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. For Grayson Singleton, I'm